Hi everyone, Joseph Powell here. I want to address the big question, which is, why is it that so many of us end up feeling so lost, stuck, and unfulfilled in life? The answer? Because we're running on an outdated life model, one in which I like to call the failed human experience model. To explain this concept, let's pull up a timeline of the human experience and look at a few key events. The first is the age in which we reach mental maturity. Research shows that our brains do not fully develop until as late as the age of 25 years old. Even more importantly, that our brains develop from the back to the front, which means that our planning and decision maker, our prefrontal cortex, is the last part of our brain to develop. Next is the age in which we emotionally mature. Studies show that men do not fully mature emotionally until as late as the age of 43 years old, and women as late as the age of 32 years old. Giving human beings the benefit of the doubt, let's just say 30 years old and 40 years old. Emotional maturity is important to consider because although one part of it is the ability to manage our emotions, on a greater scale, it is the ability of knowing who we are on a deeper level and what our core values and beliefs are. And even more importantly, what it is that we want in our life. Now that we have noted these key times in our life, let's draw a line and divide the two phases of life, immaturity and maturity. For this exercise, let's mark the age of 35 years old as the time when both mental and emotional maturity are reached. Of course, some people might be sooner and some might be later. I know in my own life experience, this is quite accurate. Before we get into the most important point on the timeline, let me explain why these two phases of life are so important when understanding why it is that we become so lost in life. To do this, I'm going to share two quick definition snippets from Wikipedia. Maturity. Adult development and maturity theories include the purpose in life concept, in which maturity emphasizes a clear comprehension of life's purpose. Meaning it is in the maturity phase of life when we understand our life's purpose. Immaturity. American psychologist Jerome Bruner proposes the purpose of immaturity as a time for experimental play without serious consequence. With these definitions in mind, let's now discuss the most important event on the timeline. The time when we are asked the most important question of our life, which is, what do you want to do with your life? And let's note on the timeline when it is that we are asked this very important question, which is in high school. It is typically in grades 10 and 11 at roughly the age of 15 years old that we are asked the question, what do you want to do with your life? At 15 years old, we are expected to make the most important decision of our lives. A time when we are not mentally nor emotionally mature enough to do so. A time when we barely have any life experience. In fact, most of us haven't even had a job by this time. During a time meant for experimental play without serious consequence, we are asked to make the most important decision of our lives. Now, what happens when we are understandably unable to answer this question at this point in our lives? And essentially a decision still has to be made? Typically one of three things. A, we make a blind decision that we later realize was incorrect. B, we allow external influences such as parents or friends to make the decision for us. Or C, we follow the default path, which is chasing money and success, even though we don't personally know what success means to us. Three different paths that lead to three different places: lost, stuck, and unfulfilled. Unfortunately, once this decision is made, life takes hold and responsibilities take over. Student debt, marriage, a mortgage, children, divorce, and a million other things. We become so busy in the day-to-day until one day, years later, bam, misery hits us like a dump truck and we realize we aren't happy. In my book, I call this moment the internal nudge. It is a blessing if we get it and a tragedy if we don't listen to it. And the unfortunate reality is many don't. So they just continue to live in misery until they die, never having the opportunity to experience the beautiful gift that life can be. But if you are still watching this, there is a good chance that you have felt that internal nudge and that you have listened to it, and you are here for more. Now that we understand the failed human experience model and why it is that so many of us end up feeling so lost in life, let's talk solutions. The solution is this: to re-ask the once impossible question at a time in our lives when we are now capable of answering it. A time when we have enough life experience, and a time when we have both mental and emotional maturity. When we have entered the second phase of life. It is this fork in the road where I meet you and our journey together begins. I come equipped with the tools needed to confidently answer the question, what do you want to do with your life? A powerful tool called the process of individualization. A process that will help you in finding out what it is that you want and what your dream life looks like. We will determine what a happy and successful life looks like to you personally and create a strategy to achieve it. If you'd like to learn more about this process or about me, or if you'd like a free copy of my book, The Chosen Ones, Here for More, feel free to reach out and I'll see you soon.